Imagine handing this to someone who has never seen one before. A papery brown ball, a little bigger than a golf ball. It doesn't look like much. It doesn't really smell like anything. Their honest first impression is unremarkable. So they do the obvious thing. They take a bite, and they recoil. Raw, it is sharp, harsh, almost hostile, with a burn that climbs the back of the throat and stays there. This is not food, every instinct says. This is a warning. And when they take a knife to it, just to see what is inside, it does something no other vegetable does. It makes them cry. Stinging, streaming, helpless tears. Every single signal this thing sends says one word: reject. And yet, this exact vegetable sits on nearly every kitchen counter, in nearly every country on Earth. It is very likely the most widely used flavor in all of human cooking. So how did the food that fails every first impression become one of the most important on the planet? The answer is hiding inside. Start with the tears, because the tears are the whole secret. They are not an accident. They are a weapon. Whole and uncut, an onion is completely harmless, because its dangerous chemistry is locked away in separate compartments inside each cell, kept apart and inert. But cut it, and you smash those compartments open. The instant they mix, an enzyme called alliinase goes to work, converting the onion's odorless sulfur compounds into small, unstable, reactive molecules called sulfenic acids. Then a second enzyme, with the wonderful name lachrymatory-factor synthase, identified only in the year 2002, seizes those and forges one specific, volatile gas, syn-propanethial-S-oxide, and that gas lifts off the cutting board and drifts up toward your face. It reaches your eyes, dissolves into the thin film of tears, and forms a trace of sulfuric acid right on the surface. Your eyes feel the sting and flush it out the only way they know how. You didn't damage the onion. You tripped its alarm, and it fought back. Now, if you'd rather keep those tears out of your eyes, you can actually blunt the weapon. A sharper knife bursts fewer cells, so less gas escapes. A well-chilled onion slows the whole reaction down. And swimming goggles, silly as they look, simply keep the gas from reaching your eyes. What does not work, whatever the internet tells you, is holding your breath. But all of this raises a far stranger question. Why would a plant go to such trouble to make tear gas in the first place? Because that is exactly what it is. A defense. Over millions of years, the onion and its relatives evolved this sulfur chemistry to punish anything that tries to eat them. And it is beautifully economical. It costs the plant almost nothing while the bulb sits whole and safe beneath the soil, and it only fires when something bites. The onions that stung the most were eaten the least, and survived to pass it on. The tears in your kitchen are a 500-million-year-old survival story. And here, our species does something very strange. Faced with a plant that chemically attacks whatever eats it, nearly every animal learned to leave it well alone. We did the opposite. We ran toward it, because that same aggressive sulfur chemistry, in the right amount, is flavor. Deep, savory, crave-able flavor. And the bulb came with two quiet gifts that would change history. It kept for months without rotting, and it grew almost anywhere. The very thing built to repel us became the thing we could not cook without. And we did not only eat it. For thousands of years, the onion was medicine. Greek and Phoenician sailors chewed it on long voyages to hold off scurvy. Roman gladiators were rubbed down with onion juice before a fight. Folk healers packed it onto wounds and boils. And as recently as the World Wars, soldiers pressed raw onion onto injuries as an antiseptic, because that same aggressive sulfur chemistry and a compound called allicin genuinely kills germs. The plant that fought us could also, it turned out, heal us. And then we learned to disarm it completely. Add heat. Heat breaks those pungent sulfur compounds apart, so the sting simply fades away. It unmasks the onion's natural sugars, which were hiding behind the burn all along. The water cooks off and concentrates them, and a reaction between sugars and proteins, the Maillard reaction, turns the whole thing soft, golden, and astonishingly sweet. To cook an onion is to sign a chemical truce. You lay down its weapon, and you unlock the reward it was guarding. Which brings us to the takeover. Onions are among the very first plants human beings ever farmed, cultivated for perhaps 5,000 to 7,000 years, most likely somewhere in Central Asia, though they rot so completely we can't pin the exact birthplace. A Sumerian clay tablet from over 4,000 years ago already grumbles about someone trampling the city governor's onion patch. But the onion's true superpower was never flavor. It was that it stored, and it traveled. A sack of onions could cross a desert or an ocean and still be food at the far end. So it spread with every trader, army, and ship. Columbus's crews planted onions in the Americas in 1494. And today, after only the tomato, the onion is the second most produced vegetable on the entire planet. The ancient Egyptians went further still. They looked at the onion's endless concentric rings and saw in them a symbol of eternity itself, and they wove it into how they honored their dead. Onions have been found laid on the chest, the pelvis, even the eyes of mummies. The pharaoh Ramesses IV was entombed with onions resting in his eye sockets, a humble vegetable, chosen to carry a king into forever. And this is the part that still amazes me. Cultures that never met, separated by oceans and by thousands of years, all independently discovered the very same first move. Begin by cooking an onion. The French call that base mirepoix. In Spain and Latin America, it is sofrito. In Louisiana, the Holy Trinity. Filipino cooks call it ginisa. In India, the tarka. Different names. Same beginning. That is not fashion, and it is not coincidence. That is the chemistry winning everywhere at once. So think back to that first impression. The dull brown ball that looked like nothing, tasted like an attack, and made a stranger cry. Every instinct said reject it. And folded inside were flavor, and medicine, and portability, and 5,000 years of civilization. The onion is a small, sharp reminder that the thing which stings on first contact can be the very thing that matters most. So, the next time something makes a terrible first impression, maybe look a little closer. What else are we judging by its skin? This has been the AHA method. If it made you see an onion differently, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.